Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 22nd of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD Research tab, which you can always check out also on a daily basis. And I believe you can find a lot of useful material here to have a quick read through, and yep, I believe you can find it useful as well. So but for now, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now I've talked about this one recently, and basically, what I was talking about was the index continues to trade within this little range here, roughly between the 7,140 zone on the downside and the 7,250-52 area, approximately around here. So in a way, you can see that this this morning, the index did have an attempt to drop towards this lower side of the range, but kind of failed to do so, and got held here by the lower bound of the Bollinger Bands, and now we can see that the index is accelerating and pushing higher. Yes, that's all wonderful and good, but the only thing is, like I said, for us to get slightly more comfortable with the upside, initially we'll look for a break above this 7,250 zone, but then just for that extra confirmation, maybe just wait for a push above the 200 EMA here. On the 4-hour chart, of course, and then we could consider a further move higher, and then we will aim for the 7,350 territory or the 7,440-41 zone, roughly around here, which is currently the highest point of October. Now, again, for now, guys, as long as it remains in this little range, we're not going to do anything. We're not touching this one. We're just going to continue monitoring and observing the price action here, so keep your eyes on this one. S&P 500. So the S&P 500, I've looked at this one recently as well, or to be more specific, I've looked at this one in my yesterday's Traders Tea Time, and basically what I was saying here, guys, in a way we could see this one pushing higher, but in order for us to get a little bit more excited about the upside, not only that we need to see a push above the highs of last week, which were near the 3008 territory, but looking at this picture, you can see that the index is currently stuck here between these two lines. This a bit of a short-term, I would even say, actually a short-term downside resistance line, and the short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 26th of July, and a short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 5th of August. So the index is currently stuck in between those two. So if we see a push further north, yes. If we get a nice break above this downside resistance line, yes, that would be a good sign here for the bulls to step in. The only thing is that one should remember that we are basically then not far from the S&P's all-time high, which is around the 3028, and in a way this is where it could become very, very interesting to see if the index would be able to create and form a new higher high here for this year. because like I said, currently not only that this is the current highest point of this year, it's also the all-time high for this index. Because if I just jump back into the history here, you can see that, oh, this is a monthly chart, by the way. You can see that we haven't been at such levels. Well, well, it's the first time we're actually being at these levels, guys. So basically, jumping back into a 4-hour chart. Again, if we get a push above this downside resistance line, then yes, we will aim for slightly higher levels, but we'll be very, very careful, because like I said, we could be hitting the all-time high, and or let's say even we would be maybe moving towards that. But let's say if it fails to touch the 3028 zone, we could see a nice reversal and a correction back down here. So for now, guys, of course, there is a possibility for this one to move further up, but again, probably for us to get a little bit more excited about the upside, a push above the this downside resistance line and a push above the 3020 territory here, which is the high of the 12th of September, could in a way do the trick, and we will then aim for the all-time high or even a little bit higher here. If this territory here holds and if we start seeing a slide back down, well, I mean, this could turn out to be a little bit ugly here from the very short-term perspective. We could see, or should I say, if we see a drop below the psychological 3000 level and then a drop below the 2985 territory here, then we will aim for slightly lower levels. We will aim for this 2960 zone, which marks the high of the 7th of October. But if that fails to withhold, then, well, I mean, we could be testing the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, or even going further down towards this upside support line. But again, that's a bit of a long shot here. For now, guys, keep your eyes on this area right here, an area on near this downside resistance line. Let's see if it actually holds, or actually if it breaks it. NZDCHF. Now, I looked at this one recently, and basically you can see that overall, of course, the pair continues to trade above this steep upside support line. And let me just quickly put this one there on the chart. So the steep upside support line taken from the low of the 16th of October. For now, yes, I mean, we are seeing that it failed to push above this 0.6344 zone. You can see that how well this area acted as a strong area of support, or sorry, resistance. The pair is now drifting a little bit lower for some correction, but that's normal, that's okay. In a way, even if it drops below this little area here, the 0.6328, still the bulls have a chance to jump in on this one again if it rebounds, if the pair rebounds from this upside line. And if we do get a nice rebound, then we could see this one pushing back to the upside here again. So for now, this little move lower is considered to be as a little correction. We are still a little bit more positive. As long as it remains above this upside line, we will stay positive. If it suddenly starts dropping below this upside line, and if it slides below this little territory right here, and let me just put this one on the chart, and that's roughly around the 0.63 zone. So if it drops below the 0.63, well, this could in a way increase the pair's chances of a further drift lower towards the 0.6270, or even going all the way further down here. Maybe towards the lows of the 16th of October. But again, before probably it could reach these lows here of the 16th of October, I'm talking about, of course, the downside scenario here. If this upside line breaks, before it could reach the low of the 16th of October, it would have to overcome this little tentative upside support line. There we go. Let me just quickly put this one on the chart. So it would need to overcome this one first. So in a way, if we see a drop back below the 0.63 territory, we will aim for slightly lower levels. We'll go step by step on this one. We're not going to rush into it. And then eventually could see a test of this upside support line. A bit of a tentative for now, but again, we'll consider that if we see a further slide lower here, especially below the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. But for now, as long as it remains above this upside line, we will continue looking north and aiming for higher levels. GBPJPY. So This one's having a nice reversal. I talked about this one this morning basically, and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on some of these key areas of support and resistance. So in terms of the upside, what we needed here was a push above the 141.50 51 zone. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high. It could travel then towards the 143.75 zone, but as you can see, it did have an attempt to move higher but failed to reach this 141.50 zone, and now it's drifting a little bit lower. Now, also what I said this morning is that if we see a drop below this 139.7675 zone, then well, it could increase the chances of a further move down here, potentially towards the 137.90 zone, or even below that. So, but again, don't get me wrong, today we do have the vote in the UK Parliament, so that's why, guys, be very careful here today especially, and in general, be very careful with the whole Brexit thing, because it's still, any headline is kind of driving the pound here, so it's not data or anything like that. It's mainly the positive or negative headlines which are coming out from UK or the EU, and that's what we're having here. So that's why it's very important to have your stop loss in place, guys, just in case this goes against you, and instead of and the volatility is increased, so it might take you out very quickly. So that's why always have your stop loss in place. But coming back to the pair, coming back to this technical analysis here, if we see a drop below the 139.76, then yep, we will consider a further move lower. The only thing is, like I said, keep your eyes on the Brexit headlines and how it may affect the pound. So for now, these are the two levels to watch. Jumping into another interesting pair, and this one's a bit of an opposite one. But of course, normally everybody's used to looking at Euro GBP, but this is probably the other way around a little bit. So GBP Euro, this is an idea that we've posted here on our account, and for now, basically what we're seeing here is, for now, we're seeing a nice ascending triangle pattern, and we're normally, these types of patterns tend to break to the upside, so this is a bullish pattern. But again, we've seen this happening in the working out in the opposite ways several times, so that's why for now we're just going to keep an eye on it, and this is the kind of the scenario that we've thrown out here. So in a way, if we get a push, if we get a push above the 1.1650 zone, then yes, we will aim for higher levels. We'll aim for the 1.1770 zone. But if it struggles to push above this, and let's say starts dropping below the this lower side of the triangle of this ascending triangle, then ideally we would need to see a drop below this 1.154950 zone, and only then we will aim for further declines. Of course, there are some obstacles underneath here to overcome, but a fantastic area of support could be seen around here, around the 1.1350, and that's basically the low of the 14th of October. So, or in other words, that's basically the lowest point of last week, which in a way, let's say by the time this could travel lower, it could coincide here with the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, and this could in a way provide a bit more support. So that's why this level here could become quite an interesting one to watch, but only if we see first a break of this upside support line, or the lower side of the ascending triangle, and then a drop below the 1.1550 zone around here, guys. So keep your eyes on this one. But again, if this suddenly reverses back to the upside, keep your eyes on this barrier, the 1.1650. A nice good push above it could lead towards higher levels, and we will be aiming here for the 1.177170 zone, which is basically the highest point of May this year. So keep your eyes on that one. And the Euro USD, the last one, of course, for this one. So this is what I was talking about this morning. So this morning we were hanging around here, and during my trader's espresso, I was talking about this one basically, and we were still hanging around here below the pivot. And what I was saying, that we may see a bit of a correction here. Yes, we could see this one drifting low lower. We could even see a test of this 1.1130 zone, roughly around there. But even the last the last option for the bulls here would be to come in near the 1.1110. Currently, you can see that this 1.1110 is the high of the 13th of September. I talked about this one for the past couple of weeks. Basically, I was talking about this level. Previously, we were trading around here still, and I was saying that this is going to be our target. So if initially it was acting as a good area of resistance and potential area of resistance, now it could take the role of a good area of support, as it did here back on the 18th of October. So in a way, if this decides to drift a little bit lower, this could again be tested, the 1.1110. If it struggles to drop below this, then we could see a nice reversal and a push back to the upside here. But if it starts dropping below this, then well, we could consider a slightly deeper decline here. The only thing is that any move lower up until this upside support line taken from the low, the 1st of October, will be classed as a temporary correction. So in a way, the arrow would be something like this. So that's the idea, and that's of course everything is according to technical analysis. If this upside line gets broken and we see the rate falling below the 1.1063, then yes, we will aim for further declines, because this way the rate would be placed below its 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. And then yes, we will aim for these, or should I say, we'll aim for the psychological 110 zone, or slightly below that. We do have the 1.0989, which is the low of the 15th of October. But again, that's a bit of a little bit of far shot here, long shot. And for now, the big question here is, will this area hold? Will this 1.1130 or even the 1.1110 area holds? If it does, we could see a nice reversal and a push back to the upside. For those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way just wait for a clear move above this 1.1183, which is the highest point of last week. This way, the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target our other strong area of resistance at around 1.1250, which is currently basically the highest point of August. Or not, I wouldn't say, sorry, I used the word currently. It is the highest point of August. There we go. So basically, guys, long story short, for now on euro dollar, it's a bit of a tricky situation here. It's still kind of moving lower. It's still going for that correction, but we need to see if this area here, the 1.1130 holds, or the 1.1110 zone holds. So if this area holds and we see a nice rebound here, then we could target these slightly higher levels. Up until then, for now, we're just keeping this one, and we're just observing the price action. We're not doing anything. If it starts dropping below the 1.1110, we could consider a bit of a decline here, but only up until this upside support line. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, guys, again, be very careful, especially with the pound pairs tonight. We do have the UK Parliament vote, so and that's 7 o'clock. Should be around 7 o'clock UK time. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful, stay safe, and yep, keep an eye on the price action, and always have your stop loss in place. Yep, I cannot stress that enough. But anyway, thank you very much for sticking around, and thank you very much, and bye-bye.